Crystal and Saga react, cancel culture over Kirk assassination. Why? Who?
In the wake of the killing
Benjamin
of Charlie Kirk, there have been recriminations coming from the right, finding anyone on social media who posted anything that they didn't like about Charlie Kirk or didn't express in their view the proper sentiments.
Oh yeah, people are getting fired. Hundreds of people have gotten fired. Pete Hegseth has issued a decree across the entirety of the Department of Defense to like search for service members' posts to make sure all of them are respectfully bowing their head in prayer to Charlie Kirk's neck, just doing that of its own volition. Threats from the Department of State to deport any immigrants or non-citizens who are not being respectful to Charlie Kirk on social media. Oh yeah, there's that one guy who amassed like what 50,000 people on social media and to like, you know, by name, so that if you want to check to see if any of your employees are being mean about Charlie Kirk, you can search for their name there.
Surrounding his murder. This is happening at a number of levels. There's like a organic sort of right-wing cultural effort to find these and put them in a database and contact their employers, etc.
That guy's website went down because people sued him for defamation. Ah, the real cancel culture.
There also is increasingly, it looks like, a coming crackdown coming from the federal government. Let me go ahead and start with Senator Katie Britt, who says in one breath that, you know, Charlie Kirk was assassinated because he was in part because he was such a beacon of free speech. And in the next breath talks about how if you're not expressing the proper sentiments, you should be held accountable, you should be fired, etc. Let's go ahead and take a listen to that.
Yeah, show me.
The rhetoric that led us to this moment, calling President Trump a fascist, calling him Hitler, you had news organizations and mainstream media celebrating that, allowing those things to take place and be said on their networks. Right. That is...
Do you realize how popular America's bullshit is in Europe? Yeah, of course, fascism, funnily enough, is extremely globalist because fascism spreads through capital. There isn't really an organic fascist movement in the modern world, at least not a powerful one. It's just a cynical smokescreen thrown up by capital holders interested in diverting people's attention away from economic inequality. It used to be fascism had a little bit more, I don't know, ideological legwork to it. Like in Mussolini's Italy or in Hitler's Germany, there was much more of an organic sentiment, I guess I would say. There was much more like of a sort of, I won't call it like legitimate belief because it's never been that. But at the very least nowadays, in comparison, there's a reason why you hear stuff like le wokism. America is the capital center of the world, and as such, we're the fascist center of the world. We are the producers of fascist culture. That's the reason why Americans do not give a about any country other than America, but all around the world, fascists are constantly adopting American fascist talking points. There was a rally for Charlie Kirk in South Korea. Do you think American fascists would ever rally for a South Korean right-wing figure? No. In France, Germany, Northern Europe, the United Kingdom, all over the place, Trump's words and the words of his supporters, they reverberate, you know, much in the same way the far-right Poilievre over in Canada. It was just literally like Canadian MAGA. He was wearing a MAGA hat, right? It's very, very anti-national. It's globalist. It's internationalist. They don't believe in their own countries. They just believe in a unified, money-driven set of whataboutisms to distract people from what's actually wrong with society.
Dangerous. When you look at that, when you look at where we are, when you look at how we got here, now people that are celebrating Charlie's murder, celebrating a political assassination, that should never happen in the United States of America. And Maria, we must do more. We must stand firm, and there must be consequences with regards to people spewing that type of hate and celebration in the face of this. And I believe that there will be, and I certainly plan to hold them accountable. So if you are out there and you are celebrating the political assassination of a man who was exercising his free speech, a very foundational element, a cornerstone of who we are as the United States of America, you should be held accountable. You should be fired. And that is the beginning and the end of it, full stop.
And we're going to show you some of the specifics of the posts that they find objectionable.
My anti-cancel culture, right? It's over. Obviously, it's so. I have been like more angry at the liberals than the fascists with this one, just because it's so infuriating to see the 5 billionth example of like, you know, is this you? You claim to care about cancel culture, yet now you're doing cancel culture. Yeah, they don't believe in anything, man. They've never believed in anything. None of them have any beliefs. They don't believe in things the way you and I do. They don't have that belief system. They've always been like this.
You know, some of them, in my opinion, like I strongly disagree with. I obviously condemn political violence. We've been very clear about our position on that on this show. Some of them are actually literally just reposting some of Charlie's more inflammatory quotes. Some of them are saying it's wrong that he got shot, but I'm not going to mourn his death because he was a hateful person. I disagree with his political ideology. So those are the types of posts that they're coming after. And we're not talking about either from public figures. You know, every mainstream Democrat I know of has condemned the killing of Charlie Kirk. We're talking about random, like, teachers, professors, whoever out there in the world.
They're going insane out there, man. A bunch of sports games were holding public in memoriams for Charlie Kirk. There were people on the right online saying that the sports teams that did not hold in memoriams were celebrating his death and that they should be canceled. I saw one guy saying it was disrespectful for a random, like, Chase Bank location to not hold their flag at half-mast.
And Sagar, you know, I don't even think they really care that much about the hypocrisy burn that's, like, in evidence in that.
No, they do not. You are completely correct. Like, the hypocrisy thing just loses all of its bite the moment you realize that they're acting in bad faith, which should have been years and years ago. Can you imagine if there were, like, it's 1937 and a bunch of Nazis are like, the reason we don't like the Jews is because they are violent. And then you point to a brown shirt rally where they lynch a Jewish guy and you're like, see, you're violent too. And the Nazis like, no, we're not. And then they do it again. And you're like, two examples, you're losing the argument. Nazis are also violent. See, you're violent too. Don't you see how wrong you are? And they're like, no, we're not. And they do it again. Like, who are we? What are we doing? What game are we playing here?
Clip, because I think the sense is, and you can tell me if, you know, if I'm wrong off on this, the sense is like, y'all did this to us and now we're just going to do it right back.
That's part of it. That's certainly part of
They
it.
always do that, by the way. That's always their excuse. Every single time. That's always their excuse, no matter what. It's always, 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 well, it's okay for us to do this bad thing because you did it first. If we said this thing is bad, you did it first, therefore it's justified for us to do it. It's a complete waste of time. It's why I've always said arguing from hypocrisy is a sign of a low IQ. And I mean it. I mean it. You should be able to, like, challenge a person's points on their own merits. Trying to, like, fish for an argument from hypocrisy is genuinely like an opening concession.
Which I think we could all sympathize with if you've been victim or something, been attacked by it. I think there's also, I want to say this as well. The overwhelming thing I have heard from a lot of my more right-wing friends is I feel like Charlie and I were not that far apart. You know, everyone is like, oh, I disagreed with him on this. So to watch people celebrate his death, and let's be honest, there are extremely viral posts of people who are doing that.
I ain't see nothing.
It's a free country. You're allowed to. I want to be very, very clear. But to watch that at an organic societal level is deeply wounding at one, and also makes you personally afraid and potentially facing retribution. I think those are legitimate feelings. So first I want to, like, validate that. I think it's scary. I mean, you know, for me, Charlie and I, look, we disagreed certainly, probably the most on Israel, but, like, we weren't that far apart on a lot of stuff. And that's kind of what I was talking about earlier in our A block, where it's like, okay, we're just memes now, like humans are memes. Well, and apparently, you know, if somebody gunned me down in cold blood, somebody would probably find a video of me on BLM or trans and be like, fuck him. And that's, you know.
Well, you can't argue that he's wrong. That is exactly what people would do. I mean, it's from Sagar's perspective, because Sagar lies as he breathes. From his perspective, it's mostly just about his right to grift for a paycheck, right? Like, this is a podcaster's right thing, more so than anything else. Just like a general, well, the tension's been turned up. It feels more dangerous out here. You mean we can't, you know, be Goebbels without, you know, sort of inviting public scrutiny, that sort of thing?
Oh, look, I got to be honest. I have to sit with that for a while and just be like, wow, okay, that's a thing.
Can I echo what you're saying there? Because, you know, obviously Charlie and I were different on almost every issue, but yeah, you're like, there are also people out there who think I am, like, hateful and horrible and evil for a variety of reasons as well. And I
get a lot of death threats. To be clear, it's not like I'm totally divorced from this or anything like that. But, like, I've already denounced political violence as vigilantism. But we also have to acknowledge, like, again, being a public advocate for politics is not a game. It's like a real thing that affects people's lives. The idea that like political violence begins and ends at vigilantism is insane and completely ahistorical. The policies you advocate for, the things that you believe in, all of them, like collectively, I mean, they represent like a doctrine that you represent as a public figure. And I think that it's reasonable for people to take that quite seriously. I don't think vigilantism solves anything. And I mean that. I think that it destabilizes everything. And that usually doesn't work out for the, like, even from a purely practical perspective, it doesn't work out from the left, you know. When society starts to denigrate, you know, and people are just taking shots off left and right, this is not usually like an arrangement that favors the left in the long run. But I'm just saying, like, we can't be like deliberately ignorant. We can't be ostriches shoving our heads into the sand to pretend that the advocacy for political violence is not itself a form of violence. It's just a matter of like which outcomes from that are the most sensible. What should we advocate for?
I have no doubt that would be the case for me too.
Right.
And, you know, we'll talk more about the Israel piece tomorrow, but it's also the case that even as Charlie Kirk and...
Do you think the U.S. has entered its days of lead? I think that you learned about the days of lead 4 days ago from people on Twitter referencing it, and I don't think you've even Googled what it is. I just think that you're aware that it refers to a period of political instability where the right-wing government and left-wing agitators in Italy fought post-World War II, but you don't know, like, what it really entails, and you're asking me because you want to feel like you're contributing to the propagation of this new term you've been made aware of.
Are as different as we could possibly be politically, ideologically. It's also the case that there were some shared enemies. There were some shared. So I totally get why I find it shocking and deeply unsettling and horrifying. And I think, which is why, you know, I think if you are on the political left and you think it's in any way good that he was murdered, like, I don't know what you're thinking. This is not any sort of benefit to your political project, if that's what you're measuring this on. And part of this block is we are going to see very swiftly, and Stephen Miller is already signaling it. Donald Trump is also signaling it. We are going to see this used as a justification for further crackdowns on left-wing organizations, left-wing speech. Certainly pro-Palestine sentiment has already been in the crosshairs. That's going to be amped up. This will be used.
Well, I feel like to an extent, again, there's sort of like a maximal rhetorical satiation. We'll see how much they can ramp it up meaningfully. It is a little bit difficult to ramp it up and be like super duper militant about like taking advantage of the assassination from the perspective of the political right when Trump is at like a game 2 days after doing his little jerk off shake, and every time somebody asks him how he feels about Charlie, he talks about the ballroom he's building, you know, and his wife is like the most repellent. His wife is taking a video of her stroking his dead hand and like, you'll see, we'll come back and we'll send twice as many fundraising emails. Like it is a little bit difficult for them to like really piggyback off of this, but we'll see.
Used as justification for further crackdowns.
Yeah, and but then let's get to the social question. And actually, this is it's funny. I think I came out of the woke era and said, I'm against cancel culture in all forms. But actually, more recently, we were all having a discussion. I remember, I think it was about the Jubilee fascist guy.
Yeah.
And you were like, yeah, he should be fired. And I was like, yeah, you know, maybe he should. And so then I'm like, okay, do we all believe in cancel culture? And then in a certain extent...
Well, no, we do. Listen, it's really, really easy to square the circle if you have consistent political beliefs. It's good for there to be social consequences for you being a bad person, and it's bad for there to be social consequences for you being a good person. I don't think people should be fired for helping an old lady cross the street in their spare time. Like, if they help an old lady cross the street, I don't think someone should report that to their boss, and the boss should be like, what? And fire them, you know? But if they're like going online and they have like a bunch of social media burner accounts where they threaten to rape people, and then that gets tracked to their main, and it's like, oh, this guy's been spending like 2 years threatening to rape women for like no reason. I think that might be like a good thing to get fired for, because that's a bad thing. People really struggle with this, by the way. Like my radical philosophy of good things are good, bad things are bad. People really struggle with this. But it's inconsistent. So the moral value of what you do should determine people's responses. I'm not kidding. That is how people will respond when you bring this up. People will actually say that. Isn't that inconsistent? Isn't that hypocritical? You think that like people should respond well to the things that are good, but not to the things that are bad? There was like an entire decade of internet debate culture where this was unironically like a serious position people had to contend with. People actually had to go into debates ready to debate this. They had to be like, no, actually, I don't think it's inconsistent or hypocritical to hold people to different standards based on the perceived morality of their behavior. Well, what if people believed in a moral system where they thought good things were bad and bad things were good? Like, what if a person thought rape was good and they thought helping old ladies cross the street was bad? Well, that would be bad. Based on what? Dude, what are we doing here, man? If they think rape is good and they think helping grandmas cross the street is bad, then put them in the device. I don't care. Activate the torment nexus. Who are we talking about right now? I'm not going to engage in, I'm not going to pretend that this is like we're like falling down a pit of moral relativism to justify an insane perception of a double standard. No one believes this shit. No one in real life believes any of this. Everyone believes that good behavior should be met with good perception and bad behavior should be met with bad perception. The argument is not over whether we believe in cancel culture. It's whether we believe good things are good and bad things are bad. Unironically, that's the left. It's not about cancel culture. No one doesn't or does believe in cancel culture. Everybody believes there should be consequences for being bad. The question is about whether things are bad or not.
Yes, and if I think about the movements that I have been the most critical of, BLM and Me Too. Well, nobody who's critical of Me Too says maybe some people, says Harvey Weinstein. Outside of Candace and a few others, nobody's like, Harvey Weinstein's innocent and he didn't do anything wrong. You could
there is a significant for one, there is a significant number of conservatives who are denigrating the people accusing Harvey Weinstein. And for two, the only reason why there weren't more is because Harvey Weinstein is considered like a Hollywood power broker type. Like if Harvey Weinstein was just a regular celebrity, like, I don't know, Mel Gibson or whatever. No, this is factually incorrect. 100%. There are tons and tons of people who are both anti-Me Too movement and will reflexively defend any and everyone from rape accusations, including the president of the United States.
Seek a legal case, but at the very least at a social, moral level, we're like, yeah, Harvey Weinstein, him. All right. Matt Lauer, him. Who else is in the OG Me Too? I'm trying to think of a few other names. Like those people, but then...
Curious, when people are associated with the left, or when they're like minorities or Jewish or whatever, and they get accused of being rapists, then they're damned by everyone. But because the right is totally inconsistent and doesn't think rape is bad at all, actually, if it's a right-wing figure being accused of sexual assault, like, I don't know, Russell Brand or Donald Trump or whatever then all of a sudden, no one on the right cares. Nobody on the right cares about the rape accusations against either of these people. No one cares that Steven Crowder is a wife abuser or whatever. No one cares about what's his name, the guy who looks like Beavis and Butthead, the guy who fucked a kid for money. Come on, Matt Gaetz. Yeah, nobody cares about any of this shit, you know. Like the right does not care about rape at all. It's just whether they like or dislike the person being accused.
You know, Me Too, the criticism, which I think is fair, is it quickly descended from Harvey Weinstein to Aziz Ansari, and that's crazy. And so to the extent that we're pushing back, it's about Aziz. Same with BLM. Anybody who was like George Floyd.
I hate when I have no choice but to detract an entire anti-rape movement because one person who got caught up in it ended up being vindicated later.
Deserve to get murdered? Yeah. I think we would all justly say, why is that person in polite society? Now anybody who says, I don't think there should be violent rioting and looting, and defunding the police is stupid, if that person loses their job, I think we should say that's bad. So that's where I am here with this Charlie.
Yeah, because believing that defunding the police is good. That's not a bad thing to believe. But this is incoherent. Why am I watching this? Totally incoherent. I don't know why I'm watching this. This is a 46-minute long video. Again, like the morality of the position is what matters. It is fine to think that in our society, where police are given infinite money, that police should be given less money. That's totally fine. It's fine. Police are given insane amounts of money in like every city across the United States. They get insane amounts of money, and we are not seeing the returns on those investments. We know for a fact that that money could be better directed towards social welfare programs or public investment programs or towards education or whatever else, and that we would actually see crime go down in the long run because of it. We know that for a fact. We have studies. We have data to this point. We have good arguments for it. Nah, Aziz Ansari totally deserved to get called. Nah, Aziz Ansari was just being awkward, man. You shouldn't rope that shit in with people being like actually rapey. Aziz was just being like, I don't know, kind of weird. It's whatever. It's not a crime. Don't gotta rope it all in. No, that's not true. Aziz was being more than kind of weird. I really think that like these movements should be, or we should be kind of like restrained with the attention we direct in these situations. Don't validate his point by arguing that there's any kind of like coherent line to be drawn there. What was the point I was making? Cancel culture? I don't know. Nothing matters, man.
Kirk thing.
Actionable. Now that original database, what was the original URL? Was like Charlie Kirk's murders or something like that.
Yeah, the one that got taken down.
Where they were actively seeking these submissions has now been taken down. They've changed it to like the Charlie Kirk Data Foundation, and they're framing their mission differently because I think they probably got some concerns from legal advice that, hey, this could actively be defamation. This could really be a lawsuit if you continue in this direction. But that's the effort we're talking about. Let's go ahead and put up some of the examples of the types of posts that are being flagged and people having like they're, being put on blast, and I don't know if it's appropriate to call it doxing necessarily, but put on blast.
It's not doxing if you put your name to it.
You're right. Put on blast and having their employers called in this like mass organic effort. So here's some of them. These are some of the kind of like more objectionable ones that we found. I don't get why everyone is posting to pray for him.
These are some of the more objectionable ones. You can't force people to mourn someone who hated us no matter how he died. That's objectionable. Damn, it's like actually it's state mandated mourning. You have to. It's like North Korea or something.
This was worth it for people to have guns. He said it himself. Pray for his kids, not for him. Actually, how about people pray for all the innocent children whose lives were unfortunately worth it when they died in school shootings, so people can have their guns instead of these kids having their lives. I'm not happy he died, just pointing out karma. Another one, F around and find out. His entire brand was hate and violence. Your track, which you preach, has lasted the death.
The edge cases.
Oh,
yeah,
my God.
And honestly, to me, some of the other ones are, I'm not saying I agree with, but
Greg Abbott literally just tweeted FAFO about the lady arrested for a thought. Yeah, did you see that? This woman is going to get such a big payout, dude. Holy shit. She actually got arrested. Greg Abbott posted the picture. This is what happened to the person who was mocking Charlie Kirk's assassination at Texas Tech, FAFO. We do not have a First Amendment. Arrested for what? For her First Amendment rights. She is going to get such a payout. There's no way. She's going to be getting like pro bono legal assistance from every goddamn civil rights lawyer in the country. Get that bag. $100 million.
But, if you're saying I'm not happy
WAPO
that he
fired
died.
their only black columnist after she tweeted a Charlie Kirk quote. Oh, I saw that as well, yeah. Literally just tweeting a Charlie Kirk quote. That's it. Just tweeting what he said. The post accused my measured blue sky post of being unacceptable gross misconduct and of endangering the physical safety of colleagues. Charges without evidence, which I reject completely as false. But fired. Goodbye. That MSNBC analyst. Yeah, it's all state media, dog. There is no independent media in this country. At least there is no independent mainstream media. All of it is state media. All of them are completely under the thumb of the White House. Speaking of,
there is no unity with people who scream at children over their parents' politics. There is no unity with someone who lies about what Charlie Kirk said in order to excuse his murder.
There is no unity with people who Photoshop my face to make me look like a delicious sweet treat loving boy with apple cheeks and a propeller beanie.
There is no unity with someone who harasses an innocent family the day after the father of that family lost a dear friend. There is no unity with the people who celebrate Charlie Kirk's assassination. And there is no unity with the...
Oh, by the way, this is on the Charlie Kirk show, I believe. J.D. Vance, the Vice President of the United States, stepped in to fill an episode of Charlie Kirk's show because Charlie Kirk is dead. It's all state media. There is no actual line between, like, the state and the private apparatus.
People who fund these articles, who pay the salaries of these terrorist sympathizers, who argue that Charlie Kirk, a loving husband and father, deserved a shot to the neck because he spoke words with which they disagree. Did you know that the George Soros Open Society Foundation and the Ford Foundation, the groups who funded that disgusting article justifying Charlie's death, do you know they benefit from generous tax treatment? They are literally subsidized by you and me, the American taxpayer. And how do they reward us? By setting fire to the house built by the American family over 250 years. I'm desperate for our country to be united in condemnation of the actions and the ideas that killed my friend. I want it so badly that I will tell you a difficult truth. We can only have it.
Can someone teach him how to be humanly angry? Yeah, no, again, it's like fundamentally a charisma issue that you get with people who don't believe in a thing. He's trying so hard to aura farm. He's trying so hard to sound like a founding father writing a proclamation.
With people who acknowledge that political violence is unacceptable, and when we work to dismantle the institutions that promote violence and terrorism in our own country.
Okay, so they're gonna, like, I don't know, defund the George Soros Foundation or whatever. Yeah, okay, gotcha. On the Charlie Kirk show. Meanwhile on Fox. I hate YouTube
Billions
shorts. Oh, that's a different thing.
But, you know, he was a hateful person. I don't know. To me, that's reasonable speech.
Look, and so that's the thing about reasonable speech is and this is a difference from free speech, First Amendment, and also polite society. I think the clearest example we had there was I'm cheering for assassin.
Yeah, right. That to me is like, okay, I can see why if you're an employer, you know, that you would look at that and be like,
I'm not going to say their name. It was a nurse, right?
Right.
As a nurse, especially, let's say this is a nurse in a hospital, and presumably, let's say you work in the ER or something like that. I mean, you know, to be honest,
What are we getting on the particulars of every one of these posts? Wait, is that actually the video? Are we like litigating all of the acceptability of these posts?
Yet most of you haven't said a thing about that or any of the other 45 school shootings this year, someone who didn't believe in.
Probably just factors into it more than anything is the level of emotion and the general feeling for people who are involved who are like, hey, a lot of these people would cheer my own death. I mean, to be honest,
at the end of the day, like the bitter pill you have to swallow is that directly or indirectly, willingly or not, knowingly or not, everyone is callous about some death at some points. The right is incredibly callous about the deaths of people in Gaza. Even if they're not, they're incredibly callous about, you can take hate crimes, you can take school shootings, you can take, okay, what about the millions of people who are going to die and have already died because of US aid being cut? We paid a very small amount of money to facilitate growth, development, and life in foreign countries, and as a consequence of that tiny, insignificant withdrawal of money, millions of people are going to die. Have you shown a proportional amount of care for that saga? No, to you, it's probably a good thing. It's not a matter of whether or not a person is being callous about life or death, because I think that everyone is to some extent. We all understand that when it comes to politics, we're making decisions that invariably favor some lives, some policies over others. COVID deaths, great example. COVID deaths. Lots of people died from COVID. A lot of conservatives very callous about that. The question isn't whether you're callous about people's death, it's how you do it and what you believe in. And overwhelmingly, the people who are anti-Charlie Kirk are anti-Charlie Kirk because they like good things. Charlie Kirk loved bad things. He was an active champion for bad things. He dedicated his life to making the world worse. And if you hate Charlie Kirk because you like good things, being callous about his death is, if nothing else, a moral signifier. It's an indication that you reject the bad things that he stood for and do, in fact, prefer good things. Certainly preferable to being callous about the deaths of people who have done good things, or, as is the case with so many people who died of COVID or of a lack of US aid, nothing at all. Just not much else to it. It's not about cancel culture. The right is and always has been okay with removing people from their positions at work. The problem is that the right wants to remove people for being good and for doing good. The right likes to punish people for virtue. And overwhelmingly, the left likes to punish people for vice. I'm speaking generally, of course. There are plenty of people who call themselves on the left who like bad things. You know, it's obviously more complicated than that. But with Charlie Kirk, it really wasn't complicated, right? This was a very morally uncomplicated life.